Do you understand what I'm saying? So we need to understand these trends that are being put among us. Put among us for what, though? All right, a minute ago, and I see you two brothers got the military stuff on. The military thing, we were bombarded with this thing. What were they trying to do? Put us in military uniform to justify shooting us down in the street? Or was they sending a signal that we need to load up regardless of who we are to get in a military structure? And you understand what I'm saying? And to become more militant. But I seen cats wearing the military uniform that weren't militant. They was using it as a fashion statement. Do you understand? And two brothers like us put Marcus Garvey on the sleeve, or the Lion of Judah, or Haile Selassie. You understand what I'm saying? And then it changed the complexion of things. And then we start confronting some of the brothers like, okay, why are you wearing this? Who's Haile Selassie? What is the Lion of Judah? Who's Marcus Garvey? And these brothers couldn't answer that. So that fashion thing died out real quick because we checked it. And I told somebody this morning in a phone conversation, I said, let me tell you something, man. If it wasn't for conscious people, we would have been back in slavery. We ain't got nothing to do with slavery. Yes, we do. We're not up, we maybe 100 years up from slavery, but we still suffer from slavery. The psychological effects of slavery. Well, how can you prove that, Professor Griff? What name do you wear? Whose name do you have? Whose clothes do you wear? Whose food do you eat? And as Amos Wilson teaches us, the last question, the most important question, what God do you pray to? Where's all the ancient African spiritual concepts and systems that we had put in place before they came and brought us here? Did you put those? You don't study the Ifa. You don't study the Voodoo. You understand what I'm saying? You don't study Yoruba. You don't study many African principles and systems and concepts that we put in place. Even the way we study Islam, we don't study Islam the way we studied it then. You understand? Before we introduced it as a religion to the white Arab. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to understand this particularly. So Frances Cress Welsing came in her book, The ISIS Papers, The Keys to the Colors, and said, no, racism is a local and global power system and dynamic, structured and maintained by persons who classify themselves as white, whether consciously or subconsciously determined, which consists of patterns of perception, logic, symbol formation, thought, speech, action, and emotional response, as conducted simultaneously in all areas of people activity. And those areas are economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, for the ultimate purpose of white genetic survival and to prevent white genetic annihilation on the planet Earth. So, in a nutshell, what she's saying is that genetic material that lies in the testicles of the black man can successfully annihilate white people. Now, on a conscious level, do they understand this? Probably not. On a subconscious level, do they feel this and participate in it? Yes. You understand what I'm saying? So if we lay that as a backdrop, we can honestly say this operates in all areas. Now, you think this dude knows Usher? Do you think he know why subconsciously we grab our testicles like the rappers used to do back in the day? Subconsciously, them other people know. Because Dr. King said all we have to do is love them. And Malcolm X came behind them and they accused him of hate. They said we need to spread love. Who made this name? Spread love.
After 7,
right.
6, one of them.
Yeah. They're afraid of that. But if we just spread love, we would color the whole race of them in a minute. It'd be about 10 years and everybody would be brown. If every brother just went out and got 10 of them. You understand what I'm saying? On a subconscious level, they fear that, man. So subsequently, nobody's complexion can get through. They barely letting brothers in through my complexion. So now your top models and your top producers and all these people, are light-skinned people. But not only the fact that they're light-skinned, they're not teaching nothing like this.
Right.
So we allow you a pass. So they set up a buffer. And who does the buffer consist of? The metrosexual. Where you allow the homosexual in, you allow certain things to get past. But the strong warrior brothers, no, we ain't getting through. We're not getting through it all. And anybody that sounds like this is why you see this watered-down milquetoast kind of interviews that people like Karis, one of these other people give. Do you understand what I'm saying? So speaking directly to this Flavor Flav thing, which we definitely need to deal with it, simply because, as Brother Jahi Muhammad will tell you, I get asked that question all the time when I do lectures. What's up with your man Flavor Flav? But I want to speak to that directly from an esoteric point of view, so people can understand it, because a lot of times people think we beat up on people like Flavor and this guy. We're not doing that, but what you're doing on TV in front of 7.5 million viewers affects us. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I want to deal with it from a perspective where the average person listening to this and not seeing this would understand. When Public Enemy came into birth, there was already 10 years of the hip-hop oral tradition, which wasn't written about until recently. In order for you to participate in hip-hop, you had to be there. So when we came about to bring about a hip-hop mind revolution. KRS-One, through his Minister Server, says hip-hop is an acronym, higher infinite power healing our people. And Public Enemy came about to bring about a mind revolution. So inside the term revolution, you see the word meaning to go back, to bind back to, and inside the word revolution, if you look closer, you see evolution. So in order to evolve, we have to go back to connect ourselves to those four fundamental elements of hip-hop, which is based on the four fundamental elements of the universe: earth, air, fire, and water. See, earth, wind, and fire put it down, but nobody paid attention. You understand what I'm saying? Inside of the word revolution means complete, constructive, conscious, cosmic change. Did we do that? So we had to bind ourselves back to the Black Panther Party, back to black revolutionary organizations, Nation of Islam. And we had to take on a physical look to remind people, like Sister Soldier said, we're at war. Do you understand what I'm saying? So pushing forward to the Flavor Flav thing, this right here, of course it gave birth to all these other brothers that you see coming up out of the 5% nation of gods and earths, but we don't have time to deal with that now. So, speaking directly to the Flavor Flav thing, if we dealt with it from a metaphysical perspective, it was told to me by Jason Orr, who puts on the funk jazz, that this strong male image right here went out across the globe. You understand? And when we started interpreting what the target meant and how the black man is sitting behind the target, and we've always been a target, when you start dealing with the Flavor Flav thing, the reason why they came to pay him off instead of the opposite of what they did to a Professor Griff, destroy me but pay Flavor Flav off, silence Chuck, and then create and pay off a group like NWA to neutralize Public Enemy. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it got deeper, because now Flavor Flav is actually one of the first ones to have one of these reality show kind of things, but look what they did to it. They had him on a couple of talk shows and they wheeled him out in a baby carriage, man, in a crib. We subtly used the term, I want you to come over to my crib, let's build. Do you understand? Frances Cress Welsing deals with that in her chapter called The Motherfucker and the Original Motherfucker, in her book called The ISIS Papers. I'm not making this up. But when you look at this image that goes across the globe of a grown black man coming out of a baby crib with a school clock on and horns, what signal does that send out to our people across the globe? So I put here the niggerization of hip-hop. America loves niggas and hate black people. You understand what I'm saying? We have to understand this particular dynamic. So inside of the reality show Strange Love, which starred Flavor Flav and Bridget Nielsen, she called him Foofy Foofy. That's a name you give to a dog or a pet. He called her Gita. So Jason Orr told me, look in the book of ancient deities, and we can look up Gita or Brigitte, which was her name. It says Brigitte, the deity of cemeteries, goddess of the dead, female counterpart to Gita, which is the name that Flavor called her, who was an aspect of Baron Samedi. So I looked up Gita, and it says Gita, god of the dead. Gita is likely of African origin and is associated with Baron Samedi. Children are protected by him. Gita has healing powers. He is shown as a black man wearing a coat, top hat, dark glasses, and carries a cane, and is usually shown with a cigar or cigarette. His sign is a square cross on a low tomb. So I looked up the Source magazine, which had Flavor on the cover, and the article was called The Resurrection of the Jester King. Now let's stop for a minute. Let's go back to what J. Edgar Hoover said. The rise of a black Messiah. All right? the resurrection of a jester king. So I scroll down in the Source magazine, and it has this. In Haiti, those possessed by the voodoo god of the dead, Gita, makes jokes, dresses in a top hat, dark glasses, and is known for their key laughter.
Right.
Is that not Flavor Flav?
Right.
Are you following me? Mm-hmm. So Flavor's walking around with that African Asian deity in him, trapped in him, trying to get out. But is it for to denigrate and disgrace our people on VH1, Video Hits 1? No. He's supposed to be teaching some valuable lessons. But if we pay him off and keep him on a foolish level, on a low vibration, you understand what I'm saying? Keep him away from the people in the hood, this information would never get to us, man. It would never affect his children's children. Because now it's his duty and responsibility and his to pass this on. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So this is why you have to destroy Griff, who is the Minister of Information, and pay Flavor Flav off and keep Chuck quiet. I don't mean to be so long in these answers, but...
Please, this is perfect. This is perfect. This is more than I could, possibly expect, and I'm thankful for every moment of it. We're talking about right now the destruction of Professor Griff versus the perpetuation of Flavor Flav and the promotion of what Flavor is doing. Last night I did a little bit of research before I came out today, and I came across on YouTube some interviews you did and also some footage in relation to the fire that took place in your home. And one of the things that I discovered that I did not know, that it was mentioned that there were gas trucks already on the scene before the fire took place.
No, that's not true. They were there the next day, but they was in abundance to the point where they flagged everyone's house on the block. Mm-hmm. And then, to make a long story short and a short story shorter, they, what came up in documents now, they said that the particular house that I was purchasing wasn't retrofitted to receive that much gas pressure. I don't know how long y'all brothers have been here, but they had dug up the West End about 4 or 5 years ago. They had tore up the street in front of Solvege and right on into the historical West End. Phil Valentine reported.
It wasn't that long ago. It was like 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Phil Valentine reported that they had put new pipes that had a valve that opened and closed so they can control how much pressure and how much gas go into those particular areas. Now, you know that these quote-unquote hoods are being retrofitted for the New World Order, meaning that when they want to lock down a grid, for example, I live in the 30303 zip code. Now, we all know if we study New World Order, quote-unquote conspiracy, you know they're going to lock us down by our number. Well, what number, Griff? You have your address, I live at 211 Peachtree Street, or your social security number, right? Mm-hmm. Or your zip code. Okay, so what does that mean? If we want to lock down the 30303 grid, we control the gas, mm-hmm. the light, the food, everything that goes into that grid, and we lock it and shut it down. So if 20 revolutionaries are locked in that particular grid, they can hone in on that particular grid, pull it up on the screen, lock it down. Now, what movie came out with this information in it? You might want to put that on pause. It may take you all a minute. Huh? Nope. No, it was a movie with Samuel L. Jackson in it recently, within the last year. What they wanted to do is, you could turn it back on, what they wanted to do is get the sync code to everyone's cell phone number to create a grid to find this particular fugitive.
I didn't see that movie.
You seen Batman?
The newest Batman?
With Samuel L. Jackson in it.
I don't think I watched it.
Oh, you gotta get that movie.
I don't think I've seen that yet.
You gotta get that movie. They went to an underground bunker.
Okay.
Where they had all the grids up on a screen, and boy, they said we could easily find him. All we have to do is send out the necessary people, right, with cell phones, and we link the cell phones to one another, creating a grid, and we just track them down. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, why can't they do that to one particular square mile of any black community and lock it down and cut off the gas? Okay, how about not cut off the gas? How about we pump more gas into that particular grid and blow some houses up? The youth center. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The mosque. But we can go deeper than that.
Well, Professor Griff.
Exactly. So when you look at me coming into town, because I wasn't even here when it happened, trying to track down the technician that tried to turn the gas on, he ended up in the hospital shortly after that. They took him out of the hospital, and now he's nowhere to be found. Don't know his name or what he looked like. So I don't want nobody running up on me telling me that, yeah, you just kind of paranoid, and how you know it's a conspiracy. Then how come the brother won't step forth and tell me who he is? You understand what I'm saying? But as Yahi would tell you, man, I haven't told my story yet. Truly. I haven't told my story yet.
Word up. All right. Let's get into some of our today's lecturers, such as Jewel Pookrum, Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine, Delbert Blair. Some of these names that I mentioned, I would like to know what your perspective is on the elders that are doing lectures today. Areas also where you feel as though may need improvement. Areas that you feel as though are actually highlights. Let's just get into some of the lecturers in terms of who stands out in your mind and who may touch you in various areas for better or for worse.
Wow, that's a beautiful question, but I don't know, man. To be honest with you, I'm going to have to speak to it and just kind of speak around some issues because not that I'm afraid of the repercussion. It's just the fact that we do revere these people as elders, and they've put themselves on the front line. But I can say this without feeling like I'm not supposed to speak to it. I think we're just not supposed to speak to it in this kind of format. I'd rather take it to the elder. And I don't want to put anyone on blast. But I have differences with a lot of them. Not only the ones that you mentioned, but some other ones. And I'm telling you, man, before too many days go by, we're going to have to prepare a table just like this and have the opportunity to question them. For example, I wanted to question Dr. Clark and his position on why he kept blasting Minister Farrakhan. But he passed on to the ancestral realm, and I never had a chance to question it. I can question his philosophy and his doctrine now to those people that still hold dear to his teachings and discuss it with them. I don't consider myself African. Africa is a landmass, and it's a title not even created by us as a people. As Dr. Ben teaches us in his work, we were called Africans by the Greeks. So I just want to kind of put it out there before I deal with some of these people. Why should I call myself, because I live in Atlanta? Am I an Atlantean? Is that not cheap? Okay, let's roll it back a little bit further. I don't vote, so should I call myself a Democrat or a Republican? Okay, what else are these frivolous damn titles? I guess I'm in America, so should I call myself an American? Nah, am I not deeper than that? Okay, so let's roll it back. Let's go further. I'm on Earth. What am I? Should I call myself a... I don't know. So you follow where I'm going?
Right.
Okay. So now let's get real deep, and then let's go speak to some of these people. We used to start this interview over, and I said, and you said, well, today we're about to speak to Professor Griff, Minister of Information from the rap group, socially, politically, consciously driven rap group, Public Enemy. Griff, how you doing today? And I said, wait a minute, let's back up. Let me introduce myself. I'm God having a human experience called Griff. So if I say that and mean it, and I practice being God every day, as the scripture teaches, we are all gods, children of the Most High God. Are you following me? Why would I cheapen myself by calling myself an American, African, and all these other titles and labels that we put on ourselves? What higher honor can I bestow on this brother and you and these brothers here? And when I see the God, I greet him as a God. Do you understand what I'm saying? So all these other labels and titles, they don't really mean anything to me. They're probably different aspects of me that are on the fringes of what I am, but those things are cheap, man. For you to call me African, Dr. John Henry Clark, is cheap. For you to tell me that I'm not black, that I'm African, no, that doesn't speak to the essence of who I am. I can roll out a timeline and show you in ancient Kemet and pre-dynastic Kemet, Africa was nowhere in the picture. We didn't call ourselves African. African is a Johnny-come-lately new term. For me to be naming myself after a landmass, the whole earth was called Ethiopia and Asia. So Elijah Muhammad came along and said, no, we're the Asiatic black man. But then even at the end of that lesson, he said, we're gods of the universe, man. Are you following me? So don't cheapen me, man, with these. But that's just a philosophy that Dr. John Henry Clark came across with, but I totally disagree with. You understand what I'm saying? So let me get to the point. I went on a talk fast. I just was quiet. This is what I borrowed from my father's people who were Native American, Blackfoot tribe. They used to go on talk fast for years. Just don't talk. You understand what I'm saying? I had to go on a talk fast simply because when this Barack Obama thing hit, I said, what is this foolishness, man? So I started seeing my elders who I respect telling people to vote for Barack Obama. I'm like, stop. We all know what this Barack Obama, he's a puppet in a seat, man. He's the president of a corporation called America. And they wrote us in as useless eaters, human resource. You ain't Americans, you ain't citizens of this country. Because this country is a corporation. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I lost a lot of respect, man, for some of these people that you mentioned and some of these other people, man. Do you understand what I'm saying? So to hear people like some of the people you mentioned, blasting Minister Farrakhan and other brothers who I do respect, stop, man. Stop. So I don't really have respect for a lot of these people. I love the energy that Jewel Pookrum is putting across, raising the vibration, having us reach for a certain school of thought. Yes. You understand what I'm saying? Love and respect that, man. What Dr. Reverend Phil Valentine is putting out, that's unmatched nowadays. I'm still studying his work to the point where I got to reach for that. But I also love what the other brothers that are directly on the front line is doing. Brothers like Black Dot, True Islam, Brother Sarnetta that sits right across from the Apollo, Brother Rich, and other brothers. You understand what I'm saying? Brother Rashid and other brothers, man. A.A. Rashid and some of the brothers that are on the front lines. You understand what I'm saying? I don't really like what I'm seeing on YouTube and some of these other places where we're battling out in a medium that these other people have set up for us to fight one another with these debates and with Seti and Brother Aleem and some other people and stuff that's going on. It's healthy that we do this in love and we can break bread and show love. But to battle one another on YouTube and in this kind of forum and these other people sit back and laugh, say, okay, that's how they wasting their time? You understand what I'm saying? Some of the elders, man, I was thoroughly disappointed with, to the point where I had to just be quiet, man. Be quiet meaning I didn't want to blast them in a public forum. You know, I'd like to see them and discuss, why would you? Let me mention one of these individuals, man, so y'all don't think I'm being a punk about this. Anthony Browder. We're on a whole tour. His whole lecture was about voting for Barack Obama. You're talking about the same man that gave us the Browder Files, book 1 and 2. A survival guy, Nile Valley Civilization, contributions to Nile Valley Civilization. You know the science of the symbols, and you're going to turn around and tell us to vote for Barack Obama, who's an African American. No one said he was a black man. He's not the first black president. He's an African American, as Minister Farrakhan taught us. His father was African, his mom was American. So he's a true African American. Are you following me? So we need to understand this particular side. And it's a shame that people like Anthony Browder got to dumb himself down and reduce himself to that level. He should have been on a tour to teach us the symbolism behind the presidency of the United States of America. not have us go and put our names and fill out some form and get our name in that database, man, which it's ugly, man. I'm going to show you something, brother. And I don't mean to take up too much time once again, but I want to show you the voting machine that Black Dot showed us that they were using to galvanize our people. If I could pull it up real quick, which I think it's right. Here it is right here. The voting machine that they use. This is a picture of the voting machine. But they call it voter surveillance. You can go to stealbackyourvote.org. This voting machine takes a picture of you, and they send that information to security companies and multinational corporations because it has a built-in facial recognition software inside of it. Are you following me? What is that light? Anyway, it sends out the information to these social service people to see whether or not you're a deadbeat dad. It warns the IRS that we have him damn near in our custody. And it pulls up whether or not you owe student loans or you owe the IRS. It can tell whether or not you're an illegal alien. It has a hidden camera in it. All right? It has different sensors in it, and it picks up the vibration radiating from your aura. It knows whether or not if you have warrants. Now, they likened Barack Obama to President Lincoln and President Kennedy. So we have to understand why. What happened to both of these presidents? They got shot in the dome piece, right or wrong.
That's right.
So we need to understand that, man, and this is real. And all of this is part of a 3-hour lecture that I give, The Psychological Covert War on Hip-Hop, based on the book that I'm putting out. So we have to understand this particular science, man. That's my take on it, man. You know, I can't speak on the Bobby Hemeds and the, True Islam is calling a lot of these people out, man. He wants to debate them on this ghetto scholarship.
Okay.
This information that these brothers and sisters are putting out, man, and it's critical, man. You can't read one book and then call yourself a scholar and you want to go on a lecture circuit because you read one book.
Right.
Nah, man. Nah.
Let's get into a subject matter that's often taboo amongst our brothers. Let's talk about our relationships with women, specifically the black woman, which will also lead us into the topic of the feminization of the black male.
Right.
Even in the relationship, even those that are in a relationship with the woman often face those same dilemmas.
Right.
Of the threat of being feminized in relation to what society has taught the black woman in terms of how to treat her man. So let's talk a little bit about that subject matter, and I'd like to hear what you would say to other brothers such as myself, and even to yourself. You know what I mean, in relation to how we relate to our women and how our women relate to us.
Well, let's look at it this way. I have taught a subject, the macro and the micro womb of the black mother goddess. How many times did I do that lecture, Jai? Like once or twice?
At least twice.
Yeah, at least twice. Where I laid out the information coming from